Hey, Stef Grieser, how are you?
Hey, Emily, I'm good.
Excellent. Thank you so much for agreeing to be my first guest, I guess, on the video series that I'm hoping to create or am creating right now with you as my first guest in response to a post that I had written a few weeks ago regarding, people facing maybe a crossroads or a challenge in their life. And then, how that actually might have turned out to be not so bad for them. And you and I had been talking a while ago, and you had such a compelling story. So I wanted to bring you on to share that because I think it's going to be very inspirational for a lot of people watching. And yeah, so maybe just start by telling me what happened.
Yes. So in April, I was let go, laid off, pick your choice. The bottom line was that I didn't have a job anymore. And I am the type of person that loves my job and puts a lot of passion and puts my personal brand behind whatever I'm doing. I've never been in that situation before. And yeah, it was, I mean, a lot of people recently and over the course of this year have been in a similar situation. But yeah, I got, I no longer had a job. And I just want to recognize that, right now I'm fine, but back then it was hard. It was stressful. There was back and forth with my employer about severance, tying up loose ends. And then there was that, what do I do now? What do I do next? And there was a big pause and taking some time. Uh, but now that I am running my own business, it it is possibly the best thing that's happened to me. And it sounds so cheesy, but I don't think I would have taken the jump on my own. I think that I was scared, to be honest. I remember back last year sitting with my old boss and the founder of the previous company I worked at. And he asked me, why are you working for someone else? I think that you should go out on your own. And he was trying to convince me, and I would just come up with excuse after excuse. And I just, you know, I was scared. And so I think that this was the world saying, like, it's not that scary, and it really isn't. But yeah, so that is what happened. Now, I'm running my own business, and there's so much freedom and flexibility. I think I think there was also a moment where I just thought, oh, going out into the job market right now just was the last thing that I wanted to do. And also, personally, the last thing I wanted to do. I was kind of not over having a job, but I was just over it. So yeah, that's in a high level kind of what happened, where I'm at now, and why, in retrospect, it's one of the best things that could have happened. When I was in it, I really didn't feel that way, but now that we're kind of 6 months out, or 5 or 6, it feels really, really good.
That is such a great story. And it's often those stories where we're sort of forced, like our hand is forced, like we didn't have a say in the matter, and it was through no kind of, issue of our own. And then you're kind of left with this like blank space. And I love that, I've known you for a while, and I would echo the sentiment of your former boss, like seeing what you have done in the past, you running your own shop makes so much sense. So just to hear though that it is scary to take that leap, right? And sometimes you need that thing that wasn't your choice to just propel you into doing, what your heart has always kind of signaled to you. So I
Definitely.
really, that's an amazing story. I'm curious to know, um, what did you learn about yourself in the process?
Yeah, I think that I learned It's funny. I learned just that sometimes life kind of hands you a card, and you can lean in hard and take it. So I had been running Shine as a passion project for 2 years. And it had been this thing that was taking my time, my energy, and it was all on top of a startup, like a leading marketing at a startup. So that was on top of my 9 to 5. That was already not a 9 to 5. And I remember thinking about shutting it down in January, but there was something that I couldn't say no to it. I just couldn't. I kept working on it, and I was like, I can't say no to this, even though this, I really need to choose. I even talked to my partner. I turned to him and I was like, I know I should choose because both of these things in my life take so much of my energy. But how come I cannot say no to Shine? And I'm glad that I listened to my kind of intuition there and my instincts and your gut feelings, because now I'm like, thank goodness I didn't kind of close it down or announce that we're closing shop or anything like that, because now I'm full on in it, and I realized like there was a reason why I didn't say goodbye to it. And I think there are some things that in my last role that I didn't listen to my intuition and my gut, and it felt like I was pushing a boulder up a hill. And so I think what I learned is just, leaning into your gut and your instincts, and listening to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things I've learned. I also think to get over, and this might be leading into kind of what we talked about in the next question, is like, what did I learn, or what advice I'd have for somebody else,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
So I think with something like this, feel the feels,
Mm,
lean in hard to the emotion, because I know if you lean in hard, that you almost get over it quicker,
right.
and that your rebound rate is quicker. And not that that is your outcome, but I know that when I did get let go, that I just felt the feels and
Yeah.
felt stressed and shitty, or the 9 or 7 stages of grief, and I felt those things, and I didn't kind of shy away from them or brush them off.
Yeah.
And it felt like to me that I was on kind of a quicker rebound, perhaps,
Yeah.
versus not. So I would say definitely lean in to your emotions, like lean in hard.
Yeah, I feel like we try to push it away, or we come up with excuses, or we shield ourselves off, or we all the different ways we can medicate ourselves. And it sounds to me like for you, um, what worked, and philosophically, what I've heard what works is just you're feeling those feelings, as you say. You're accepting that you're angry, you're accepting that you're hurt, you're grieving, you're accepting the uncertainty, like. And is it almost something where you feel that, okay, this is going to suck, like this is going to feel uncomfortable, but as long as I'm in it without trying to push it away, then at least I'm moving through it. Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been there
100%.
many times.
Yeah. And there's probably a lot of people in my same situation, or were in my situation, or will be in my situation. Layoffs and let goes happen all the time. So um, I think just know that you're not alone, because it happens to people. But if and it sounds terrible to tell somebody this when it's happening, but everything happens for a reason. And when you look back 6, 8 months, you'll realize that you're in a better space. And use that as fuel. I use that as fuel to kind of move on to the next thing. I think it can be really hard because there's a lot of self-doubt because was there something I did? Oh my goodness, or I'm not good enough. And you do have those voices that creep in, but I think you need to kind of shut them out and work on whatever is your next move, and then yeah, and just kind of do almost a retrospective, like what didn't work. I know that I spent a lot of time thinking and analyzing why that wasn't a good fit,
Mm.
in some way or rather, and what I learned from that experience so that I could take that on to the next thing and
Yeah.
learn a bit more about myself. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's always the goal. Like I find the rebound going from the low to the high is so helpful in the future when you go through another low, because inevitably you're always going to go through that. So you can draw on that experience, as you say, the
Yeah.
6 or 8 months later and say, hey, I did it. I pulled myself out of it and actually ended up for the better. That's the fuel, as you say, to kind of keep moving forward, because it's never going to be an even ride.
Yes, 100%. And it's interesting because I posted this kind of similar experience and story in like a tech ladies group. And I started off just by acknowledging like what happened, which was I got I got let go. This is what happened. And then here I am now, and here's what we're launching. And that post resonated with so many people. I think there was like 355 likes and so many comments, like over 100 comments. And I think people want to hear the story, not just, oh, I launched a business, but like what was the behind the scenes, and what led me to this wasn't always like pretty. It was, a kind of quote unquote a failure that now is propelled me into whatever the next thing, a success, so to speak.
Yeah, and that is why you are the perfect first guest for this little video series. So thank you so much. Before we go though, you did say something I really want to tell anyone who's watching what you're doing now, because it's awesome and I'm a huge fan. And it's a very, very cool thing. So just give us a quick rundown on what you're doing now.
Yeah, I run Shine Bootcamp, which is a speaker accelerator for women. And basically, we run programs to get women on conference stages. Um, that includes coaching, courses, it includes a community, and you are actually in the next cohort, which is really
I did it.
amazing. I know. And we are doing our first ever virtual programming, which is going to be interesting because we've never done it kind of full virtually before. And there's 64 women in this cohort, which is going to be insane. And I think what makes Shine special is just the quality of women, the quality of people in general that are part of it. So it's going to be super awesome. Yeah.
Yay, amazing. I'm so excited for that. And I'm so grateful for you to experiment with me today. So thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon.
Sounds good. Bye, Emily.
Bye.